Thank you. Welcome back, everybody. My name's Phil Murray. Yazoroit! So I'm from Birmingham, but after being there 26 years, I haven't yet got the accent as far as I'm aware. Thank you very much to Annie and the Society for asking me to come back. I gave a talk at the last meeting, 2012. I couldn't make the 2010 meeting, but one of my trainee doctors did. He came down with his wife from the Midlands and to make a weekend of it. The two of them came down, and three of them went back to the Midlands because his wife gave birth. It must have been the excitement of this meeting that she went into labour soon afterwards and gave birth on the Sunday. So this session now, the late morning, is about Fight for Sight and Birdshot Uveitis, joint small grants initiatives and progress updates. And what I really want to talk about, first of all, very quickly, is the National Birdshot Research Network. And they've been driving birdshot research, and it's not just clinicians, it's researchers, and it's the patients as well. So everything that we try and do is in your interests. It's being led by you, whether it's collecting samples, filling in forms, doing work on animals. It's all trying to translate that back for your benefit. And certainly that's been done. That's one of the main groups that have driven this. But again, none of this would happen if it wasn't for Fight for Sight, and we'll hear a bit about that in a minute or so. So Fight for Sight are the most important premier UK eye charity. They support a lot of fantastic eye research throughout the UK. And I think it shows something about you that Fight for Sight, being so big, have been interested in a rare disease because they feel it is important. Not only do they feel that the disease is important, but they feel they value you as patients as well. They value the disease and everything else because it's a very important disease. And because of that, they've taken up this small grant scheme and they're supporting it. Now, most of these grants are about £15,000, and to a researcher, that doesn't seem very much. But it is actually very important for us, because it does start us off doing some research, which we hopefully get some important results that we can then apply perhaps back to Fight for Sight or the Medical Research Council or the Wellcome Trust to get much larger amounts of money to finish these bits of work off. So these relatively small amounts are very, very, very important for us. So we're going to hear, first of all, and I'll bring everybody up in order in a minute, and I think if we can possibly keep questions at the end, that would be the best, is to hear a little bit more about this partnership, the Uveitis Society, Birdshot Uveitis Society and Fight for Sight with Julian Jackson. And then I want to ask Alistair back up again, and he's going to talk about Birdshot Biobank and database. Again, very, very important. I gave a talk on the biobank 3 years ago, and it's nice now that we're almost getting there. And a lot of that recently has been driven by Sue Southworth, who you've met on the desk as you've come up the stairs into the meeting hall. And Sue is just fantastic. So she's a senior research nurse who's not only brilliant regarding research governance and how to get on with doing research, but great empathy and kindness, and those of you who have come in contact with her know that. So I think she's been an excellent appointment from the Society to deal with this project. So we'll be looking a bit about DNA and about genes and biobanking. Then we're going to go on to Omar Maru, who's a now budding clinical academic at Moorfields, and he's going to look at the retinol scanner, which he's got with him. We're going to do hopefully a demo. So most of you here, many of you here, have these electrodiagnostic tests done. So when you come to the clinic, we hopefully as doctors, clinicians, listen to you, what your problems are, and then we talk with you, not to you or at you, and whatever visual problems you have. And the first thing the examination is you go and get your visual acuities taken. And visual acuities, we do need them because if there is a change from visit to visit, it's important, but it's not real life. One eye is covered and you look down an eye chart and it really tells us how well you look down an eye chart. And it doesn't always give the full story because the problem is at the back of the eye, you've heard already, regarding the retina. So we need to know the more detailed function of the retina. And again, most of you here have had some form of electrophysiological tests, very, very similar to this type of machine here in an old episode of Star Trek. And they're quite big machines, and you're wired up to them. So I hope that the next generation coming through, and Omar will talk you through that as well. Then I'm going to ask Laura Morton to come up, who's a postdoctoral researcher in the labs at the university under the supervision of Graham Wallace, who's been running this project. And she's going to talk about Superman. No, she's going to talk about supercells. Sorry, supercells. So these specific white blood cells, but how to look at a number of these to hopefully differentiate between different medical conditions. So these special supercells that she's got. And then really finishing off asking Glenn Jeffrey from the Institute of Ophthalmology, and he again spoke a number of years ago at the last meeting, and he's going to be talking a little bit about old mice, perhaps not this one, or even those ones, but about red light therapy. And many of you have known and sort of seen adverts because it is used as for facial rejuvenation places. And it's possible, if you're very good, he may give you a kiss at the end. Okay, like that. So if I can ask Julian to come up